Author Dr. Carol Soloway. Not only does she write women's fiction, she's a chiropractor, a medical examiner, and motivational speaker. My first question is, what don't you do?
Laundry.
Me either. Don't like it either. Well, thank you for being here. And you're making the trek all the way from Orange County, California, which is in the southern part of California, if you're not familiar. But you're winding your way through the country. And how are you doing this?
We're doing this in an RV.
I love it.
I call it our frontal lobotomy tour, because if you had a frontal lobe, you wouldn't be doing this. And we're going across the country. We started in January. And my husband has not seen our house since then. I go home 1 week a month to work.
Okay, and work is?
Doing the medical legal exams.
Okay.
And then I come back, and I've been speaking all over the country.
And this is all for your book, Sex Happens, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But I'm just curious how you went from being a medical examiner, a chiropractor, into a woman's novelist.
Well, the secret is I was an English teacher before all this. So what don't I do? I was an English teacher. I do have a master's in English. And writing has always been my passion. Mm-hmm. So,
and you've also used your own personal experiences in your writing. So what was the inspiration behind Sex Happens?
The inspiration behind it was I was destroyed after a divorce. I mean, I had a great practice. Everything was going wonderfully. At the time, I was really in school finishing up. But nothing made me feel whole after the divorce. And so I started writing, but it wasn't a passion. It was just a hobby. Then I had melanoma a couple of times. And once lost a piece of my arm, piece of my leg, and I decided, you know, the divorce, I got over it. The divorce, I lost really a piece of my heart.
That's a really, if I could just interrupt you for a second,
Sure.
I think that's a very interesting symbolism, because when you do divorce, it is almost like losing a piece of yourself. I mean, it's figurative, and it is also physical in many ways.
Yeah, it was absolutely, you know, if anyone has ever been, you know, disappointed or maybe even devastated by love, this is their story too. And I just decided, you know, there have to be other people out there who aren't forgiving themselves. Now, Nora Ephraim said it better than I did, though. She said, marriages come and go, but divorce lasts forever.
Is that right? That's so interesting. Because it does, it makes such an imprint on your heart, on your psyche. Why do you think it's so difficult for women to move on from divorce? Do we tie ourselves so much to the other person?
I think we give our egos over. You know, we allow the other person to decide whether we're pretty enough, sexy enough, whether we're enough. Mm-hmm. And that's our whole, even women who are professionals and have a great career, at the end of the day, we're wives and mothers.
And that was going to be my next point, too,
Oh.
is that we do have women out there who feel a little bit more self-empowered because they're making more of a place for themselves in the professional world. But when it comes to their private life, when it becomes about their motherhood, their wifehood, then those things get lost. So when you do get a divorce, it is like losing yourself in many cases.
Well, you are a wife. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and also a mother, if that comes into play. And just losing that whole, what do I say? It's losing happily ever after. Yes. Losing our dream.
That is very true.
Our dreams.
That is very true. Well, we need to take a break about when we were divorced, and you've been divorced and remarried, and so this book is somewhat based off of your own experiences. So in the book, how would you describe your protagonist's journey?
Well, first of all, it's not only my life, because it's as titillating as 50 Shades, therefore it's not autobiographical in that part. But I would say that the main character does lose custody of her children. In this book, her husband twists the truth. I'm not going to tell you the ending. But, and she goes through a lot of court proceedings to try to get them back, but there's an underlying story with a lot of twists and turns. I mean, you can't figure out the ending. And I think her journey is to learn that she is enough. Sometimes when we lose the ones we love the most, we find ourselves. And that's a line in the book, but that's what I'm hoping that women will read and feel empowered.
And this really is a book that's written by a woman for women. So this isn't necessarily a pickup read for the guys out there. If they want to, I suppose anything is possible. But you really do have this with an intention for women to self-empower themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there is intrigue, there is deception. So men, my husband cried at the end. So some men might pick it up if their wife, demands it. But it's a book for women.
It is, it is. And in the process of getting a divorce and having these custody battles and things like that, there's a term that I've learned just over the course of reading about things like this, and it is gaslighting. And it's that term of making someone feel like they're starting to go crazy, like they're the crazy ones. So that has to be an incredibly emotional, because women are so tied to their emotions. So does that seem like there's an element of that in there?
That is how she is manipulated. Yes. Yes,
right.
A lot of gaslighting.
Yes, okay. I find it fascinating myself, and if you're not able to recognize it in the moment when it's happening, you don't know what's going on. And whatever is reality is really not.
Well, that's why I wanted the main character to be a professional, to show that no matter who you are, no matter what your career is, when you're in that relationship, when you're raw, when you're vulnerable, you're going to believe.
Did you ever use your medical examiner profession, your knowledge there? Did you ever apply it to writing this novel?
No, my medical legal, I examine injured workers. It's not,
it's just something completely different.
No, completely. Nobody dies.
Okay.
Close, but no. I did not use that.
I see.
That tool was not in my bag.
Okay, all right. Well, where can people find this book?
This is available on Amazon.
Okay.
There's also a Kindle.
Okay, wonderful.
And hopefully soon maybe a movie.
Yes, that's going to be very exciting, and we're going to keep our eye out on that for sure. So people find this book on Amazon. You've made your way up to Charleston from Savannah. Where are you headed next?
Next, we're going to Washington, D.C., and then New York, and then all the way back home.
All the way back home to Orange County. Well, thank you for coming all the way here to Charleston. Appreciate you. And again, you can find all that information on our website, foxcharleston.com.